In today's episode, I will explain how to use a remote control without the audience noticing it. Hi, I'm Martin Anderson and we're in IDEAA Lab. I want to thank all the support given to our Magic open source project. All the magicians really liked it and that gives us a strength to continue. In fact, our license plate prediction is having such a success that we will have 8 different models available for sale and open source. Also, there's been a lot of good proposals for a sponsorship program. We will check them calmly. We will try to carry them out together with their creators to hope to show them in the future episodes. In today's episode, we will explain different ways to activate a remote control invisibly, because what we explain today will be very useful for future projects. These explanations will apply to almost all remotes and will allow us to activate them in different ways without the public noticing it. You might be asking yourself, what does it mean to invisibly activate a remote and what is it for? While the remote controls allow us to activate an endless number of devices and effects, it is important that the use of these is not appreciated. If we have an assistant out of the scene, this can activate the necessary remotes, but if we are performing alone or we need a perfect sync, it might be easier to do it ourselves, and of course, without any notice. For illustrative purposes, I will use a remote receiver with a high power LED for the examples I'll present. Keep in mind that the receiver or activation device could be a motor, a servo, a light, or anything else. I won't stop to explain anything about the receiver, just the way to activate it with the remote. Let's begin by explaining 2 external methods, which means that the modification is quite easy, no need to open the remote or make any electronic connections. Roman Garcia taught me the first method, and we explained it on episode 6 of the video log last season. You have to place an object on top of the remote's button, such as a nut, and this will help us press it more easily. We can just glue it or put a tape on it. This modification by itself can make the handling much easier, but now we put a double-side tape on the card, attach the remote in the middle, and finally put it inside the deck box. We can add some more cards if needed to adjust the sensitivity with which we must press. By doing it, the whole deck becomes a very easy to press remote since everywhere we press it, we'll activate it. You can set the box in the jacket's pocket, inside or lateral ones, and just by getting the hand close to it, you can activate the remote without needing to know the exact location of it. The second way that I want to teach you is an evolution of the last one. I really like the idea, but it wasn't fancy at all to use another remote, so I designed a piece and printed it in plastic with a 3D printer. This piece adjusts perfectly to the remote. And does the same job, but simpler and prettier. If you like it, you can get it on our webpage along with the remotes. This is also an open source file. You can download, modify, and print it if you have a 3D printer. Now we'll see several methods in which you will have to open the remote and solder some wires. We'll replace the remote internal button for an external one. First, I'll show you all the methods and then I'll explain how the modification is made, since it's the same for all of them. The first one that I want to show you is a tilt sensor, which allows us to activate the remote according to its position. We can set it in any part of the body or even in a stage prop so it'll activate when moving. Now I'm going to show you the magnet sensors, which are activated near a magnetic field. You can hide the sensor and approach a magnet to activate it. In this case we have the remote, the sensor hidden inside the box, and the coin is magnetic. You can also place it in your body and activate it with a magnet ring, for example. As you can see, this sensor activates when approaching a magnetic field. But we have another kind, the double contact ones, which activate when you remove the magnetic field. This allows us to know, for example, when an object is removed from a place. Both the field and magnetic sensors are available on our website. If you want to know more about sensors, watch episode 9 and 10 from our video logs last season. Another option is an external button. Don't be fooled by its simplicity. For me, it's the most effective way to activate a remote if used correctly. There are different push buttons. The more the button protrudes, the easier to locate and press it. But it also increases the risk of pressing it by mistake. The most important is the placement. It has to be in a position that allows you to press it in a natural way. My suggestion is inside the jacket, by the lower edge, or in the opening at the chest height. Both allow a natural position of the hands to press the button. If in your show you move a lot and want to be saved from accidental presses, you can use a Willy Monroe idea, which consists in placing the button inside a plastic cap. That way you can easily locate the button while avoid accidental activations. Following other button placements, you can place it inside your sleeve, near your wrist. This allows you to press the button whenever you press your wrist on any other part of the body. You can also put it in your armpit. We can also put the button on the shoe and activate it with your big toe. I'm not going to take my foot to explain it, it's clear enough. We can set the remote on the sock so it doesn't move. This is a really invisible method, but if the button is placed under the toe, you have to be very careful not to press it while walking. A significant improvement will be to place the button on top of the toe and hold it with the tip of a latex glove. This is a Juan Mayora's idea, and he gave me permission to share it on the video log. Doing this, we can press the button against the shoe when lifting our toe, and so reducing pressing it by accident while the glove helps hold it and prevent from moving. Another way to press a button without the hands is to put it against the skin at the waist height in your pants. If we make the right pressure between the pants and the button, it will not activate, but a subtle movement to tighten the stomach will be able to activate it. You could also activate it with your butt cheeks, although this system might be a bit uncomfortable and with the sweat can create a short circuit. I haven't tested, it's just a theory. A less invisible but very practical version is to use a foot switch, which will add a remote. For certain uses only, it could be useful and safer than carrying in the body. If you need them, you can get them in our webpage. Now that you've seen several possibilities, let's see how to modify the remote. What we want to achieve is to solder a cable to the remote and a sensor or button to the other end of the cable. First thing is to carefully open the remote and you'll see that it has one or more push buttons. We can find different types of buttons. The most common ones have 2 or 4 connections. The ones with 2 connections can be similar to these ones. And the 4 connection ones can be similar to this. The buttons with 2 connections are easy to use. We'll have to solder a cable to each connection. The order is not important. It can be here and here, or here and here. For the 4 connection ones, we'll always use the 2 connections that are on the same side. This and this, or this and this. Same goes for this little one, here and here, or this and this. It's the same to solder them on one side or the other. In short, we have to solder 2 cables to the bottom of the remote we want. Like here and here. And a push button or a sensor on the other end of the both cables. And please, always remember to take out the batteries before soldering. To close the case again, we have to make a little notch in the plastic, which allows to take the cable outside. Before closing it, check that it works, and now we have the modification completely ready. As you can see, it's not hard to make the modification at all, and you can find the push buttons and sensors right on our website. Even so, we wanted to keep it simple, so in IDEAA Lab we created buttons and sensors with a way better and more reliable presentation. We have three tilt sensors models: Mercury, cylindrical, and mini. We also have three different magnetic sensor models: regulars, mini, and the double contact that we mentioned before, that allow you to activate it either with or without magnetic fields, just as needed. Lastly, we have the regular and protrude push buttons. These ones are super useful because they have pin savers on the sides to easily and safely hold them to the clothes. All of these are on our webpage if needed, and you can get them with or without the cables according to your needs. They work exactly the same, but this packaging gives more protection, resistance, and simplicity of use with respect to welding directly on the cables. To wrap things up, you've seen a few ways to invisibly activate a remote in front of an audience. The external modifications allow us to avoid touching the electronics, while the internal mods can be done by just soldering a few cables. Any of the methods explained before can help to improve your shows and make you seem to have superpowers. As Uncle Ben will say, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's it. If you liked the episode, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us right on Twitter. See you in the next episode of Magic Open Source.